Why do some bugs sting and other insects bite? Why do some bugs crawl and other insects fly? If you have questions, there's no need to guess. We'll answer your bug questions on Royal Pests. Ask the Entomologist. Why do spiders have 8 legs? Don't all bugs just have 6? How do bees make a buzz buzz sound? Can my dog be hurt by ticks? If you need info from an anthill to a nest, we'll answer your bug questions on Royal Pests. Ask the Entomologist.
Hi, welcome back to Ask the Entomologist. I'm Rick D. Donato, and I'm here with Jess King, who's an entomologist at Royal Pest Solutions. How are you, Jess?
I'm doing fantastic today, Rick.
Really?
Thank you very much. Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing great. You're all wired and ready to go because this is a crazy topic.
Yeah, we're back in front of the cameras again, and we got the microphones in front of us, and this is fun.
Cicadas.
Uh-huh.
We've been getting phone calls. We've been watching them. We've seen stories on the news about cicadas. What's a cicada?
It's not a locust. That's number one.
That is one of the things we hear, too.
Yeah,
it's
the
just
people
like
are calling
attack of the locust.
Yeah, that's a type of grasshopper.
What is a cicada?
A cicada, it's an insect, obviously, and it belongs to the order Hemiptera. And it's a large order of insects, a group of insects. Hemi is half, and ptera. Remember when we did the termite show, ptera meant wing, so this is the half-winged insect.
So what category of insects does cicada fit into?
It's the Hemiptera. Yep.
What other insect? Give me another example. Besides, a termite is one?
Stink bug.
A stink bug's the same as a cicada in the same category?
Yeah, they're in the same order anyway.
Does that mean cicadas stink too?
No.
No, okay.
And no relationship at all, other than that they're in the same order. I mean, they don't look like each other anyway, and they don't hang out with each other. The cicadas, they're gaining a lot of attention. They're best known for those sounds or those choruses that the males produce. The males are singing their hearts out in search for females. The sound is made by this little drum-like organ.
Whoa. You're getting way ahead with the sound.
Okay.
We haven't even talked about it.
All right, but I want to tell you about it. There's 2 ways that people are familiar with the cicadas. It's this super loud chorus, right? And again, it's made by this little drum-like organ on their abdomen, or the rear end of their body, and their abdomen's hollow, so it resonates, and it makes it really, really loud. That's why you get that super loud chorus. They're also known for their precisely timed mass emergences, like some of us are probably going to see pretty soon here in Maryland.
Yeah, that's what has been kind of interesting, because when I started seeing about them, I Google everything, and I started seeing websites dedicated just to this flow of cicada that are traveling across the country. And what is this? It happens. There's a bunch of different species of cicada, right?
Yeah, there's a few different types in our area. First, we have an annual cicada. It's called a dog day cicada that comes out every year. It's a larger species. A lot of people are familiar with this one. It's brown or green and has black and white body markings. It emerges from the soil in July into August. If people are familiar with cicada killers, that's what cicada killers are preying upon. Cicada killers are those giant wasps that people see flying low on the ground.
Yeah, when you say it emerges from the soil, how did it get there in the first place?
The cicadas?
Yeah.
We'll get into that. That's a really interesting development. I mean, it's a very, very successful form of development to spend their life under the soil.
All right, so that's the ones that come once a year, which I didn't know that. I thought they were just these things that came in waves every 17 years.
Yeah, the dog day cicada, the annual cicada in our area, comes out every year. We also have another type of smaller cicada in our area. It's called a periodical cicada. That's the one that's receiving all the attention in the news and on radio and everything. That's why we're here talking about it. There's a 13-year periodical cicada and there's a 17-year periodical cicada. One comes out every 13 years, emerges from the soil every 13 years. The other emerges from the soil every 17 years.
Same basic cicada?
They're related. Yeah, same species. They can be very, very closely related.
They look different, though?
Yeah, they're different species.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're different species. They come out of the ground and mate once every 13 years and once every 17 years. That's why they're coming out of the ground. And it's interesting because these periodical cicadas are only found in North America. There's no other place in the world where you're going to find the periodical cicada. And there's different information out there. Some say that there's 7 species total of these periodical cicadas. Some say there's 6 species total of the periodical cicada. Some believe that there are 3 17-year species and that there are 4 13-year species. Others believe there's 3 13-year species and 3 17-year species. But the point to that is the 3 17-year species are northern in distribution, and that's the one that we're going to see.
I'm a little confused. I've seen charts of these things traveling in waves. But you keep saying they come out of the ground. Am I going too far ahead here? Because I'm getting a little. Do they come out of the ground, or do they actually move, and it's the same cicada that you've seen in Texas have now moved?
They're coming out of the ground. They stay in their area after they emerge from the soil. They're not spreading across the country.
Oh, they're not. They've just timed it.
It's a precisely timed mass emergence, and they stay in the areas that they're.
Oh, so it's not one giant
from.
swarm that just goes across the country.
Nah. They're coming out in different areas, and in fact, that's kind of revealing. Some people are going to experience this emergence of the 17-year periodical cicada, specifically brood 2 of the periodical cicada, 17-year periodical cicada. Some are going to see it, some aren't. The distribution map is kind of spotty, a little patchy.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, not everybody's going to experience this.
All right, so the ones we're talking about today, let's focus on the 17-year cicada. Are those the ones? So the last time we saw this cicada was 17 years ago.
Yeah, I'll tell you. There's things that you can look for to see if you're going to get them. You know.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Is when am I going to start seeing these things? I've been reading about them on the news. And
yeah, because everybody's anticipating this.
Yeah.
And there's things that you can look for. You can check the distribution maps online. To see if they're going to be in your area. You can check newspaper archives. And one thing you can do is ask some old timers, because a lot of those guys or girls remember those events. And they can tell you, yeah, this happened here at this time 17 years ago. If you're fortunate to see the emergence, you can help some of the researchers that you were talking about by letting them know about that emergence as soon as possible so they can create updated distribution maps. A lot of this data that these guys have is very, very old data. If folks do see the emergence, let these researchers know. Go online, do a little bit of
So we're talking,
poking around.
All right, so 17 years ago, 1996, that's the last time. So if we're going to go look at old periodicals or old newspapers.
Yeah, you want to look all the way back in the
to
archives.
Like 95, 96 and see where these came back in and,
yeah,
and what
see if
they
any
did.
local areas were commenting on the emergence event. The 17-year cicada, like I said earlier, is only northern in its distribution, right along our eastern seaboard here. You're not going to find them across the country.
Oh, okay. So they are just going to stay on the eastern seaboard. So how am I going to see them? I mean, where are they going to start showing up, and how am I going to see them?
There's going to be visible signs that you can look for the periodical cicada to emerge. Before they emerge, they construct these small holes that are about a half-inch in diameter. Just a couple weeks before the emergence event, the nymphs, the baby cicadas, the younger cicadas, we call them nymphs. The nymphs will construct those exit tunnels to the surface. Sometimes you can see a little mud chimney that's built around the hole or capping over top of that hole. But they'll construct that tunnel a couple weeks before the emergence event. So that's a way to tell, hey, we're lucky enough that we're probably going to see this emergence in the next couple weeks. So
that's going to be their gateway.
Yeah, that's how they're going to exit the soil.
Okay, well, they are called 17-year cicada, and we're going to take a break right now, and we're going to come back with Jess, and he's going to say why they come only every 17 years. Right, Jess?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll be back with that in a minute.
If an itsy-bitsy spider goes up your water spout, you don't have to kill him, just keep him out.
Royal Planet Friendly Pest Control knows there are many beneficial insects. You just don't want them in your home.
Get a free inspection.
Let Royal Pest show you a smarter, greener way to protect your home and family.
Don't you use pesticides and spray. Pest control is not child's play.
Call 1-800-ROYAL-PEST, visit royalpest.com, or just Google Royal Pest. Royal Planet Friendly Pest Control.
The guys with the butterfly.
Royal Pest Control, a planet-friendly pest control company since 1976, is now in Maryland.
You may have seen our trucks with the butterfly. That's to say, we respect the environment.
If you think you have termites, ants, bed bugs, or any pests around your home or business, call Royal Pest. Let a Royal Pest professional do a free home inspection
and show you our planet-friendly approach to protecting your home and family.
Call 1-800-ROYAL-PEST, visit royalpest.com, or just Google Royal Pest. Royal Planet-Friendly Pest Control.
The guys with the butterfly.
Okay, we're back with Jess King, entomologist, and we're back with cicadas, 17-year periodical cicadas. Jess, why 17 years?
It's to avoid predation. It's
predation.
Simple. Yep, it's what's been successful over generations.
Wait. What's predation?
Okay, it's to avoid being eaten.
Oh.
Or killed by a predator that knows that they're coming out of the ground.
How does that work?
Well, it's how does what work? How
does predation work? Every bug would like to avoid being eaten by a predator, right?
Well, yeah. Well, they're alive. The cicada is alive for 17 years, living the majority of their life as nymphs or young cicadas under the soil.
Mm-hmm.
But as adults, They only spend about a month and a half above the soil and then they expire. So predator populations cannot develop over generations in a response to something that only takes place once every 17 years. It's just not a reliable food source for a predator. So they can't develop in response to it.
So in other words, another insect that would eat a cicada, there really isn't any.
Well, with that said, it is a treat for all these opportunistic feeders. The predator population can't rely on something that takes place every 17 years in order to develop in accordance with that event, but you're going to have a ton of opportunistic feeders that are just going to be delighted to have this abundance of cicadas. You got insects, spiders, birds, mammals, reptiles, and fish. Actually, then when the cicadas are on branches low next to a stream, fish just gorge themselves on cicadas. If they're lucky enough to be in that area, they're going to be eating cicadas.
Oh, but they're not going to develop as a predator of just a cicada because
Can't rely on it.
It's not reliable. Then they'd be waiting another 17 years until they eat.
Yeah, for them to then reproduce.
How does a spider go about eating a cicada?
Yeah, get caught in a
a
web.
web.
Yeah.
So those webs can hold, a spider web could hold one of those big cicadas. They're pretty good size.
Yeah, check out a black widow spider web sometimes. It's strong web.
That's all right.
Super strong
I'll
web.
pass.
Yeah.
Pass on it. Something like that. So, all right. So they're living in the ground for 17 years and waiting 17 years to emerge. How do they develop under there? They stay small the whole time?
No, well, that's a very good question. Some insects are holometabolists. Okay, I know. Holometabolists means they go through
Smart
this
for me, pal.
this complete metamorphosis, like a butterfly is holometabolist. It has the egg, the larva, the pupa, the adult. Right? The egg.
A life cycle.
Yeah. So it goes through a complete transition right there. It starts off as the egg, then you have the larva or the caterpillar, then it goes into the cocoon or the pupa, and then it emerges as the adult butterfly. Right? So that's a complete metamorphosis or holometabolist. The cicada, the 17-year cicada, and all the cicadas are hemimetabolists. That means they go through a gradual or incomplete metamorphosis. That gradual metamorphosis of this cicada means the egg hatches and this very small wingless version of the adult comes out. It's about the size of a very small ant. Okay, so they don't come out as a larvae. When they hatch, that's above ground.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. The nymphs come out of the egg. They're a very, very small wingless version of the adult. They go through stages of development called instars below the soil. So they're going to make it back down to the soil. What I should tell you is they reproduce by laying eggs on terminal ends of young branches, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Okay.
But after that egg hatches and the nymph comes out, it drops down to the ground immediately, burrows down into the soil, makes its burrow next to a root of a tree so it has a food source available to it, and they go through these stages of development, or instars.
And now is each nymph on its own?
Oh yeah.
It's not like a colony or anything.
No, they don't live in a colony. They are a solitary insect.
Oh, they are. Okay. So if in a net, if there's several eggs laid, they could fall in 5 different spots. 5 eggs could fall in 5 different spots and become 5 separate.
Completely independent.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
they're completely independent of
No
each other.
family, huh?
Nah.
Is the mom and dad even nearby? Or
Nah,
they're just gone?
the mom and the dad, actually, by the time the nymphs come out, mom and dad have expired.
Oh.
Yeah.
How long does it take for those eggs to get to a point where they'll fall and hit the ground?
The eggs take about 6 to 10 weeks to hatch, and then
From the nymphs.
the nymphs come
start
out
that process.
and they drop down to the ground. Below the soil, they're going through these stages of development, right? They have to shed their exoskeleton or shed their skin. They molt their exoskeleton in order to develop to that next stage of growth, to grow in size. They have to shed their exoskeleton. So they go through these 5 instars, or stages of development, before the cicada emerges from the soil, about the size of the winged adult. The nymphs emerge from the soil when the temperature 8 inches below the soil reaches about 64 degrees Fahrenheit. They typically emerge after sunset. The nymphs leave the burrow in the soil. They locate nearby vegetation, and they molt their exoskeleton the last time to reveal the adult cicada, the winged adult cicada. And they've reached adulthood at that point.
What's the size of them at the point? They start out as a small ant.
Yeah.
And then, I've seen cicadas, aren't they like about an inch, 2 inches?
Yeah, that's your dog day cicada. That's your annual cicada.
That's
That's
your
a
annual.
larger cicada. Yeah, these are much smaller than that.
They are.
Yeah,
so the
half
swarms
the
that's
size.
coming are going to be smaller than that.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. It's a really cool thing, too, to see that final molt when they come out of the ground. You can see this because they're going to attach themselves to a tree or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes about an hour for this event, this final molt to occur, but you can actually see the molting of the exoskeleton and the winged adult is revealed.
You've watched this? You've seen?
Yeah, it's amazing. You can do it at night with a flashlight. It's really cool stuff to see.
Wow. How long does that take? I mean, how long you have to stand there watching?
About an hour.
Like yeah?
It's about 1 hour, and it's complete.
Wow, you really like this, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I can stand there watching a bug.
I got to tell you though, so they come out, right? And then after a short period of time, the male starts singing. Like I said, they sing their hearts out, trying to attract these females. And that's that characteristic loud chorus that everybody's familiar with. The females don't produce any songs at all. It's just the males. It's just to attract that female. The male attracts the female. They mate. She goes and deposits her eggs in the ends of the young terminal branches of trees. She lays about 600 to 800 eggs total. So she's putting out a lot of eggs. She's not putting them all out at once.
No wonder she's not singing.
Yeah, she's got work to do.
Got stuff to do.
They cut this Y-shaped little pocket in a branch, and they deposit their eggs inside those little pockets. And she can make multiple pockets along the terminal end of a young branch. So it oftentimes kills those young branches after the nymphs emerge from those eggs.
Okay, yeah, we'll get a little bit more into what they do to plants and how they destroy them and what we can do about that. But do these things, do they bite?
No, they don't
Cicada
bite.
Don't bite? So
No, it's a good question because there's going to be so many of them, and people are going to be freaking out about them. They don't bite.
They look a little evil, like they could bite you.
Yeah, they don't sting.
They're not pretty bugs.
Nah.
I don't think so, but you might.
I think they're gorgeous.
Yeah, I know you do. I'm sure you do.
They don't sting. They do not bite. They don't damage your home in any way. I got to say, the only way they're going to bite you is if you act and look like a tree. Because that's the adults, contrary to some beliefs, adults do feed. Mm-hmm. And they have a piercing, sucking mouth part, and they poke it into a tree to get the plant juices or the juices from the tree. So if you sat around and you looked like a tree and you acted like a tree.
So when you say bite, they're really then you're a tree.
Yeah, then you're a tree. But
so they don't have like little pinchers that bite you. It would be a pokey thing that just sticks you, but not a stinger. It's in their mouth part, not in their.
But it's not going to happen. Nobody looks like a tree, and they don't stand still enough to be acting like a tree. So it's not going to happen. They don't bite. They don't sting. Sting, and they don't damage your home whatsoever.
Should you just let them alone then? Just not smack them as they're flying around in the...
Yeah, I'd say leave them alone. I mean, the whole event lasts about a month or so, month and a half, because they don't all come out specifically on the same night. They might come out over a period of a few nights. The entire activity, the adults only live above the soil for a month, like we said, but the entire activity could last about a month and a half, and then they're gone.
Okay, quick question, because we're going to go to a break pretty soon. When they come out and they sing, and they make a loud noise, I mean, that's the one thing you're talking about. They are solitary bugs, but they all seem to be singing at the same time. Is that anything connected by nature, or is that coincidence? Because they do seem to sing at the same time.
It's just a great way to attract females.
Oh, so a bunch of dudes out there
singing the best they can.
Singing the best
all
they can.
together.
And it works?
Makes an impression.
Now, is a better singer get a hotter cicada?
Maybe.
You haven't watched them that closely.
They got to do a little dance and everything. There's a couple other criteria involved.
To get them involved. Okay. Well, now we're going to get into the pest control side of it. They can do some harm to your plants, cicadas, right?
Yeah.
And when we come back from break with Jess, we're going to talk about what harm they can do to the plants, what the plants are that they can do the harm to, and what you can do about it to prevent it from happening. So we'll be back with Royal Pest Ask the Entomologist after this break.
Do you have termites eating your home? Ask the Royal Butterfly.
Hey, Royal Butterfly, termites only eat wood, right?
Termites will eat anything made of cellulose, including books, cotton fabric, and wood. Subterranean termites build their nests underground and can cause considerable damage to your home before they're detected. Contact a Royal Pest professional at 1-800-ROYAL-PEST. Visit royalpest.com or just Google Royal Pest. Royal Planet-Friendly Pest Control.
The guys with the butterfly.
Royal Pest Control, a planet-friendly pest control company since 1976, is now in Maryland.
You may have seen our trucks with the butterfly. That's to say, we respect the environment.
If you think you have termites, ants, bed bugs, or any pests around your home or business, call Royal Pest. Let a Royal Pest professional do a free home inspection
And show you our planet-friendly approach to protecting your home and family.
Call 1-800-ROYAL-PEST, visit royalpest.com, or just Google Royal Pest. Royal Planet-Friendly Pest Control.
The guys with the butterfly.
Okay, we're back with Jess King and Ask the Entomologist, Royal Pest Show. And I thought of something to ask you while we were on break because Tracy brought it up.
Okay.
So she really thought of this. But now that all these other bugs are going to be feasting on the cicada, if you have a lot of cicada in your lawn or around your home, is that going to mean a lot of other bugs are now going to say, wait, there's a new diner open down the block and we're going to go there to eat, and it's going to, now having cicada around your home are going to attract more bugs to your home?
No, it's not going to. Again, it goes back to that whole predator response. There's no predator population that can develop in a response to this, so nothing can time it saying, yeah, this is it. There's so much food out there right now, let's all go over there and eat. They're not able to, I guess, comprehend that. There's no way to, because insects aren't making conscious decisions. They're pretty much programmed machines. The spiders that you have in your area, anything that,
they're
birds,
just going to benefit at that point.
they're just going to benefit. There's not going to be a greater population
birds?
of them.
Birds will come down and eat these too?
Oh, yeah, but there's not going to be a greater population because of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well then let's get back on track here. They come to your house, they can do some damage. A lot of insects do some damage. What damage can they do to a plant or a tree? I know you said they do a lot of their egg laying in trees. Does that apparently destroys the tree?
That's primarily the damage they can cause. Now, folks can prepare for that emergence of this 17-year periodical cicada by protecting your young trees. If your intention is to plant young trees this year, maybe hold off until after June, until the activity is gone, because again, they can cause some considerable damage to those young trees. You might want to place some foil wrap around the trunk of the tree to prevent the nymphs from climbing up the trunk of the tree and gaining access to that vegetation.
When you say foil, aluminum foil?
Yeah, like a foil wrap.
So they'll climb, they won't fly up around it, just fly over it?
Well, remember that the
nymphs are the ones.
the nymphs are the ones that are emerging from the soil, and then they got to climb up the tree and stick to the bark of the tree or the trunk of the tree and molt their exoskeleton for that final molt to adulthood. So they don't have wings yet. They're wingless, and they're crawling up those trees. But if you put aluminum foil or
just some kind of a barrier, physical barrier.
Yeah, if you put a foil wrap around the bottom of the tree, then they can't climb up that tree successfully to be able to latch on and molt their exoskeleton the final time.
Okay. Well, they can when they get up on a tree, they can eat the leaves, right? And does that destroy just the leaf, or can it destroy the whole tree?
They're not eating the leaves.
Oh, they're not.
No.
They're just preparing the nest or for the eggs.
The nymphs, once the nymph emerges from the ground, it molts into the final molt into the adult, and the adult flies around looking for a female, meets the female, mates. She lays her eggs. The eggs hatch. Yeah. The nymphs go down in the soil, burrow down, and that's it.
But that does no damage to the tree then.
No.
Oh, I thought that was the reason to keep them off the tree, so they don't damage the tree.
When the female lays the eggs in the terminal ends of young branches, that can cause considerable damage to young trees. Definitely. So what you might want to do, what I recommend, is putting netting over top of your tree to physically keep them off of those trees so that they can't damage those
enough
young
of
branches.
Damage that it could kill a young tree, but an established tree, it's probably not going to. It'll kill leaves.
It's nature's way of pruning.
Oh,
yeah. When you have a large deciduous tree that deciduous is not a pine tree, not a conifer. Large deciduous tree that has these young branches on it. It can cause a lot of browning out of that tree, but it's not going to hurt that tree at all.
All right, and it doesn't take off bark. It doesn't really go for that. It's just the leaves that you have to worry about.
Well, not just those branches.
The branches.
The terminal ends of those young branches.
But what about homes? Can they do any damage to a home?
Not at all.
Oh, okay. So
No, they're not damaging a whole home. They may frustrate somebody, and annoy them, because there's going to be a lot of them. And again, not everybody is going to see this activity. And remember that distribution map is kind of patchy.
All right. In the last couple of minutes we have, I know the things that sometimes I don't even know. The cicada killers. They're a bee, I guess.
Large wasp.
But that's a wasp. That Royal Pest, we get called a lot more because people see these cicada killers. Now that there's going to be this influx of all this cicadas, are we going to now see these things explode? They're
timed completely different. Matter of fact, the adults of this 17-year periodical cicada expire. Most of them expire before the cicada killer ever comes out.
Oh, because the cicada killers are for the yearly ones.
Yeah,
that
they're the
come
ones
out.
going after those dog day cicadas, the annual cicada in our area.
Yeah, because I see piles of, looks like giant ant nests that are growing out of my lawn. They're just all this
That's from the
broken up
cicada
dirt.
killer. Yeah, they'll burrow down and make this little gallery in the soil, and they excavate the soil, and there's this small pile of soil right next to the gallery oftentimes.
And what's inside the gallery? That's where the cicada is going through its
yeah,
star stages?
putting the eggs. No, that's where the cicada killer is. Remember, is the one that we're talking about.
Oh, that's right. They're putting that whole
Yeah, they're putting their eggs in there with rations of food so that they can develop as well.
Holy cow! So your whole lawn then becomes their feeding ground, pretty much, or
their place to live or
their
develop.
Now, will they die inside that the gallery that they create, that hole in the ground they create eventually? The cicada killers.
The cicada killers, no. I mean, they're putting their eggs in there, and they're that's for the development of that insect. But the cicada killer doesn't die inside that hole, not unless we kill it after a treatment.
Well, that's the whole thing. So should a pest control company, again, that's what we do, should they be called when they see cicadas, and if they start to see them swarming near their house or this giant amount of them around their house? Should they call a pest control company? Any reason to do it?
Okay, yeah, I would. Not because they are a pest specifically, but because, remember, we're following IPM in pest management.
Integrated pest management.
Integrated pest management, and the first thing we're going to do is identify that insect properly for you. So you may think it's a cicada, it might not be a cicada. I'm not saying that people don't know what they look like, but proper identification is critical. So don't just dismiss it as, oh, these are cicadas. Have a professional come out, do a thorough inspection and identification of that insect to make sure that it is in fact a harmless cicada.
And let's face it, if you only see them once every 17 years, you're not going to be too good at identifying them. I mean, we are, because that's what we do, or you are.
I wouldn't, but if it is a cicada, again, you can protect your young trees. You can put the foil wrap around the trunk. You can put the netting over top of the young trees to protect them so that they don't kill the younger trees. You can avoid planting your trees until after June. That'd be a good idea if you're in the area where these things are going to emerge. But beyond that, I wouldn't do much more for them. I mean, if you own a nursery, you might want to do some chemical applications precisely timed, by label, of course. Label's the law, to your stock of trees at your nursery, just to protect those young trees. But as far as a homeowner, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do much for them. Again, the activity lasts about a month or so, and most adults will be gone by the beginning of mid-July.
Okay, well then that's going to be my last question. It's when and where we're going to start seeing cicadas. We know it's sometime soon. Are you able to predict a date, or at least within a week, of when we'd start seeing them? And can you put it down to a geographic zone?
Well, what I can recommend is taking a look online at distribution maps. Honestly, because it's so patchy that it's hard to predict exactly where they're going to be. And again, a lot of that data is old, but it's kind of difficult to predict where they're going to be. Yeah, so
we can't say Aberdeen, Maryland. There's going to be.
I mean, you can check the distribution map, and Aberdeen might be included in that. But you got to take a look at the data that they have to see if you're going to be in that area where they emerge.
Okay, well, you know what? Maybe we'll put up that on royalpest.com. We'll put up a little link that'll go to one of those distribution maps, so that if any of our listeners want to see where they are or where they're expected to be and when, they can click on that and find that link there.
Yep. I do want to say one other thing, though, because a lot of people are talking about, I'm like, oh my gosh, these things are going to stress me out. These two are beneficial insects, extremely beneficial in our ecosystem, providing nutrients to the soil through... You got on me when I said something last time. But they do it through depositing fecal matter in the soil. They shed their exoskeletons in the soil. Some of them die in the soil, and the dead bodies. All that stuff provides nutrients to the soil. And they're also integral in soil aeration. I mean, consider they're making burrows all underneath the soil.
That's true.
We pay a lot of money to have our lawns aerated, a lot of us do, but these are providing natural soil aeration underground, and they're also a delightful food for those opportunistic feeders. So very beneficial insect.
All right, good. Well, this has been a very beneficial show, Jess. Thank you very much for letting us know about cicadas. We know there's been a lot of talk about it. Thank you all for joining us on Ask the Entomologist from Royal Pest Entomologist Jess King. We'll see you next time.
On Royal Pest, ask the entomologist.